If you enjoy what you hear here today, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. Every dollar helps, and you get to see content that you won't see here.
Chapter 46. Reaching Safety. The city of Canterlot was approaching fast as the six friends peered out from behind the cockpit. The city was as pristine as ever, from the air seemingly untouched by the war that had ravaged the lives of so many throughout Equestria. In the darkest thoughts at the back of their minds, especially after the things they had recently experienced, they all half expected to find the city crumbled at the bottom of the mountain. But that was an unfounded fear, and the capital of Equestria remained intact. As predicted, they had been unable to load all the survivors in one go, and after a quick refueling, the pilots were intending to come back around and pick up those they had left behind, along with the escort of EUP left to protect them.
What are we going to do when we get in?
Applejack asked the group over the noise.
I can certainly hit the hay faster than a rampaging bull in a red-painted barn, but I can't help but feel there's something else we could be doing instead.
The princess will probably want to hear from us, Spike pointed out. She probably thought all the element bearers were dead up until now.
Princess Celestia and Princess Luna must surely have a plan, don't you think?
Rarity questioned.
There must be some way to end this dreadful affair before anybody else has to lose families or homes.
I sure hope so, Spike agreed. Pinky bounded in between them.
And if it's a plan to save Twilight, we absolutely have to be involved. Yeah, I think we'd all like to save our Sparkle,
Rainbow remarked.
And maybe once the egghead is free, she can help us kick some Changeling flank. Oh, I don't know, Rainbow Dash,
Fluttershy injected.
How do you think she'll feel when she comes back to her senses? The Empress made her do such horrible things.
Rainbow Dash groaned.
Yeah, I suppose she did. I think the best we could do for Twilight at this point is be there for her. We are her friends, after all. Fluttershy is right.
Rarity voiced her agreement to the element of kindness's observation.
The darling is going to be in tatters. And after all the work she put into integrating her hive with Equestria, too. The quicker things go back to normal, the better,
Rainbow stated.
This is really uncool. All of it. If things ever go back to normal. What do you mean? Rainbow, darling, think about it. We would have just come out of a war with the entire changeling species. Do you think the populace would even welcome the Equestrian hive anymore? Screw that!
Rainbow Dash blurted out in response.
Hasn't Twilight been through enough?
I agree with Dash. That's a load of horse apples,
Applejack stated. Rarity shook her head.
You cannot deny the possibility. Rarity, we're quite a forgiving bunch,
Pinkie Pie noted.
Nightmare Moon, Discord, Chrysalis. Next thing you know, we'll meet a mere brainwashing an entire village and then she'll become Twilight's student or something. Pinkie, you make up the weirdest things,
Rainbow deadpanned.
But she does have a point.
Applejack nodded.
I'll make sure the entire Apple family knows the truth. This ain't her fault.
I never said it was.
Rarity shot back.
But you didn't see what happened in Manhattan.
And you didn't see what happened in Ponyville,
the apple farmer rebutted.
Besides, I don't think the princesses will let it come to that. Princess Celestia loves that filly too much.
Whatever happens, none of it will be easy, Spike added in glumly. But that's all what-ifs. All I know is what's happening now.
What's happening now is that we're landing,
Applejack replied, pointing out the window.
And not a moment too soon.
I never thought being cooped up in a castle of all places would get old so fast.
Venice muttered with a pout, lying on her back as she bounced a ball on the wall and back into her hooves.
We can't even go out to eat at Restaurant Row. The food here isn't exactly terrible,
Panacea pointed out to her daughter.
No, but I would like some variation.
Just ask for something different then. That is always an option, Cardus remarked. And where did you get that ball?
I have my ways.
Did you sneak out of the castle?
No.
Cardus groaned, suppressing a face huff. He decided to drop the issue for a moment, but fully intended to pursue it later. It was simply due to the fact that, at that specific moment, Facade made his entrance into the bedroom.
Ah, Cardus, there you are. This is our assigned room. Where else would I be? Fair point, Facade conceded. I just came from speaking to Prince Armor. We bumped into each other out in the halls. He was coming to get you himself, but I offered to go in his stead. He's a busy stallion after all, especially after what happened yesterday.
How gracious of you, Cardus said with a hint of snarky sarcasm in his voice. What did he want, anyway?
Well, Queen Twilight's friends are alive, so some good news there,
Facade informed him, leaning up against a wall.
They are? That's relieving.
But what about Spike? Cardus asked. He was with them in Ponyville.
He's also fine. They're all heading here. Shining Armor's heading off to meet with them, Facade explained. He wanted to invite you along, seeing as you're friends and essentially co-workers.
Co-workers? When I was captain of the Royal Guard, perhaps, Cardus responded. I'll go. As you said, he is a friend.
What about Palula?
Juvenis asked, discarding her ball and sitting up.
And her sister. They were with one of them. Rarity was her name, I think.
I didn't hear about them. I'm sorry.
Facade apologized, in truth not even knowing who Saronis and Palula even were.
But Shining Armor did say that all of her friends were there, so I would assume this Rarity would be among them. You could ask her yourself.
I think I will. I hope they're all right. I'm sure they are,
Panacea said comfortingly to her daughter.
When are they arriving?
Now, Facade stated. They're probably being escorted to the throne room as we speak. If you want to catch up to them, now's the time.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Juvenis inquired as she shot up to her hooves.
Let's go! I'll see about getting us some lunch for when you get back,
Panacea stated.
I wouldn't have much to say anyway, but give Spike my regards.
Her husband nodded.
I will. And see if you can get something to make our lovely daughter stop moaning.
I don't moan!
Juvenis moaned.
Point and hoof?
Cardus shot back.
All right. We need to catch up with them. Well, good luck,
Facade stated.
Why? Aren't you coming?
Facade raised an eyebrow.
Why would I? I don't know Spike personally, only know of him. Neither do I know the element bearers. You might as well meet them. I have a feeling you're going to be joining our hive when this is all over, Cardus pointed out. Besides, a good first step into Twilight's heart is to be friends with her friends.
Facade blinked.
Come again.
Cardus smirked.
Facade, you're as readable as any of the Queen's mini-books. Is it that obvious? Looking dreamily into the distance, we noticed that.
Facade blushed.
Right. I would appreciate it if you didn't mention that detail to her brother. I'd rather keep my neck attached to my head.
How long?
Panacea inquired.
Well...
Facade twirled a hoof a little sheepishly.
My brother told me all about her after he returned from all that business in Ponyville a few years back. I saw her in person once when our Hive's embassy first opened up in this city. We spoke very briefly.
And?
As I said before, raised by ponies and then going on to defeat Crudelis and saving the world a couple times to boot. Queen Draco thought highly of her too, citing her kindness and other such qualities, and yet quite a ferocity once provoked.
And do you think she's pretty?
Juvenis joined in on the fun.
Don't we have something else to be doing other than interrogating the hopeless romantic?
Facade asked somewhat desperately. Cardus had to admit he had a point.
We do, but don't think this is over. Oh, I can't wait.
Facade deadpanned in return. Five mares and one dragon were trailing behind Prince Shining Armor, who had been ready and waiting to greet them on their arrival in Canterlot. Aside from that, he had said next to nothing to the group, intent on leading them straight to the throne room without delay.
"You don't have much to say, do you?"
Spike remarked. "Sorry, Spike, but we really can't wait around," Shining apologized. "We can catch up once it's done, but the princesses really want to hear from all of you in person. To be honest, for a little while there, we thought you'd all died."
"A lot of ponies did,"
Spike responded.
"I know."
After that grim discussion, there was no more conversation during their journey to the throne room, leaving the group in an awkward silence for the duration. From their perceptions, the walk seemed to take far longer than it should have. But eventually they were ushered in through the large doorway and presented before the throne that held the Princess of the Sun. The other two alicorns were also present, standing either side of the throne.
"My little ponies, I am glad to see you return safely,"
Celestia greeted in her usual motherly manner as they entered, having returned to almost business as usual after her discussion with her sister that morning.
"It has been a trying time as of late. It is good to be presented with some good news for a change."
The group all bowed, but were gestured to rise up again by the alicorn.
"Come now, there's no need for that. Not after what you've all been through."
"How much do you know?"
Spike asked.
"We know plenty,"
Luna responded in her sister's stead.
"Princess Cadence, Prince Armor, and my own Captain Vespertilia were all part of the conflict that consumed Fort Hurricane." "It's true,"
Cadence continued.
"I fought with one of the queens. Queen Cocoon, I believe."
"I see,"
a disheartened Spike replied.
"What happened?"
"We both lived, obviously. We can't say the same for many other changelings and ponies,"
Celestia grimly reminded them all.
"Ponyville was beset upon by Twilight and her swarm, laying waste to the town." "That's right, Princess,"
Applejack spoke up.
"Those EUP folks gave their lives for us. Got wiped out."
"Twilight made sure of that,"
Spike muttered.
"I saw her with my own 2 eyes."
"I saw her too,"
Rarity added in.
"She nearly killed me."
Celestia stared at the 2 ponies for a few moments with an unreadable expression, before sighing.
"The Empress is making a display of Twilight. She wants to hurt us."
"It's working,"
Shining Armor pointed out. "Princess, what do you intend us to do?" the dragon in attendance asked rather sternly. Before the alicorn could answer, the door to the throne room opened up once again as 3 changelings were admitted inside. Spike's face brightened considerably at the sight of 2 of them. "Cardus, Juvenis!" he greeted with surprise, rushing up to greet them. "You're okay?"
"Don't act so surprised,"
Cardus responded with mock insult before becoming a little more serious.
"But it was close. Panacea is also with us. We were extracted from the Hive by the equestrian captains."
"And Facade saved us too,"
Juvenis announced, pointing at the drone who Spike had yet to meet.
"Fought off several of them, even a princess."
"Did he now?" Spike asked rhetorically, giving the drone a critical glance. "Facade, was it?"
"Yes, you must be Spike," he greeted. "You're easy enough to recognize. The scales are a dead giveaway."
"Well, not all of us can change our appearances on a whim," the dragon replied.
"So it's true?
You saved my friends?"
"Pretty much, though we ended up hiding for most of the attack, riding the storm. Things were desperate in the Hive. None of the others made it."
"I don't remember you from our Hive."
"I'm not from there. I was one of Queen Draco's guards."
"Oh,
I'm sorry." "Yeah. You and many others,"
Facade remarked.
"We're all sorry now. Things have gotten really out of huff. We've been confined to the castle with the other changelings,"
Cardus explained to Spike.
"So we aren't so easily full-napped by the Empress in the night."
But you're without the hive mind now. How are you holding up with that?
It's been tough. But we're still ourselves, so we can't really complain in these circumstances.
I can think of plenty to complain about.
Rainbow Dash said from a little ways behind Spike.
Everything about this, I'd say. Oh, Miss Rarity!
Juvenis spoke up, spotting the unicorn in question.
You were with Palula and her sister, right?
A flash of guilt passed over Rarity's face.
Huh. You're Juvenis, right? Palula talked about you. You're her friend.
Juvenis nodded in confirmation.
Yeah, that's me. So, where is she?
Rarity sighed.
I'm not sure how to say this.
But she didn't need to. The teenage changeling mare slumped in realization.
The Empress got them, didn't she?
Rarity nodded regretfully.
I'm afraid so. But they were very brave.
Juvenis didn't answer, looking down at the floor dejectedly as her father placed a comforting hoof on her shoulder.
So, what now?
Facade asked.
Reunions are all well and good, but there is a war on.
He is correct,
Luna stated.
and my sister and I do have a plan of action.
Cadence gave them a glance.
You do? It's the first I've heard of this. All will be explained.
Celestia promised.
Shining Armor, escort Twilight's friends to their newly assigned rooms and take Juvenis back to hers. Then come meet us in the war room to discuss what comes next.
Hold on, you're not leaving us out of this! Spike objected.
Yeah, I agree.
Rainbow voiced her loud opinion.
She's our friend. You said so yourself.
And you're all in need of rest.
Celestia rebuked.
I have made my decision.
They weren't happy about it, but did as they were told, and Shining Armor led them out of the room. That left the Alicorns and two changeling stallions, the latter looking up at the Alicorns with a question in their eyes.
You two can collect Broadsword and Vladimir. Meet us in the war room as well.
Celestia commanded.
Your insight could prove valuable to what we must do.
And what might that be, Your Highness?
Cardus inquired.
Breaching the Council Hive.
Celestia said as if it was obvious.
And destroying the Empress.